The film begins in a burger joint, where a single parent, Nina Harrison, is eating with her main child, Dorian. Nina takes out her old camcorder furthermore, begins taking recordings of Dorian as it is his most memorable day of school. As Dorian is caught up with paying attention to his mother, he inadvertently spurts some ketchup on his shirt. Consequently, he advises his mother to begin recording once more. Incredibly, when she presses the rewind button on the camcorder, all that around her travels once again into the past, as though she has tracked down an error in the grid. The episode leaves Nina stunned. Furthermore, she begins breathing vigorously. Yet, similarly as the past episodes are about to rehash the same thing, she rapidly stops her child from spurting the ketchup once more. She then gets some information about the mess on his shirt. However, true to form, Dorian doesn't recollect it, and basically acts befuddled. Therefore, Nina likewise expects that she just encountered this feels familiar, and the two go on with their day. Then, the two hit the road and continue towards Dorian's new school. As Dorian is driving, he takes out the camcorder and starts recording. Seemingly out of the blue, he additionally crosses as far as possible. Tragically, their pleasant second comes to an end when a squad car starts chasing after them. Nina requests that her child pull over, thus he does. And to begin with, the official, Lasky, insults them for being dark, and afterward asks assuming that they have any firearms with them. Dorian, who is obviously upset by the bigoted comments, attempts to talk back, yet, his mom quiets him down. Notwithstanding, the official continues to incite them. All of a sudden, he sees the camcorder still in recording mode. What's more, furiously requests that Nina switch it off. Dorian lets him know that they reserve the privilege to record. Be that as it may, Lasky strongly attempts to get it. During the tussle, Nina presses the rewind button coincidentally. What's more, when she does as such, the time rewinds. What's more, the two are returned to 5 minutes in the past, where the official hadn't moved toward them. Indeed, even this time, Nina feels awfully drained, as assuming the time bounce has depleted her of her energy. Seeing her, Dorian gets stressed, and pulls over at a similar area as in the past. As he attempts to solace his mom, official Lasky approaches them once more. Albeit the Harrisons haven't done anything wrong this time, he actually makes do to raise a reason to embarrass them. Lasky specifies that a little piece of the vehicle is still contacting the street, which is an infringement of regulation at the point when somebody pulls over. Hearing this, Dorian gets furious as his mother is needing assistance. He goes up against the official that they have greater things to stress over, however Lasky is resolute on rebuffing them. At the point when Dorian doesn't ease off, Lasky brings out his weapon and gets ready to shoot. Luckily, Nina, who is as yet holding the camera, presses the rewind button and saves them from the circumstance. This time, she presses the button long enough to return them to the burger joint. It turns out Lasky has been in something similar coffee shop with them since the absolute first scene. Also, this is where he begins focusing on them once again over again on account of his bigoted nature. Understanding that her child's life is in harm's way, Nina quickly leaves with him, and this time, she jumps in the driver's seat. She likewise takes the long way, trusting that they will at last dodge the bigoted cop. Expectedly, Dorian is left confounded by the abrupt change in his mom's way of behaving. In any case, she guarantees him that all is great. The couple then, at that point, begins holding once again a melody. What's more, chooses to play hooky so that they can hang out. Afterward, they show up at an inn and plan to eat unhealthy food. On the television, Nina watches a lottery show and thinks about an arrangement. From the beginning, she subtly records the numbers being drawn. Then, at that point, she remarks on how stupid the lottery is, yet, Dorian feels it's not all totally arbitrary. He trusts in destiny and the hypothesis that assuming something ought to occur, it will work out. In the meantime, Nina presses the rewind button, however simply lengthy enough to travel once more into the past before the lottery numbers are called. She then, at that point, precisely calls the numbers, leaving her child shocked. She too vows to score the following sweepstakes for them. Right when Nina accepts that they have at long last turned away the risk, an unexpected thump on the entryway dazes her. At the point when Dorian opens the entryway, her most awful apprehensions materialize. Official Lasky has again followed them, and this time, he makes reference to that he got a commotion grumbling call. Peculiarly, he expects the mother-child couple to be a couple, and requests that they draw out their personalities. Also, by and by, Dorian ends up being irate, as they misunderstand sat idle. He attempts to make the cop leave yet all of a sudden, the last option takes note the camcorder in Nina's grasp. Lasky then attempts jumping inside the house, and a tussle follows among him and Dorian. As Nina watches with dismay, the bigoted cop smacks her child's head into a closed by glass outline and plans to shoot. Be that as it may, before he can do as such, Nina rewinds the time, and returns them to the cafe. This time, she understands that regardless of where she stows away, the official will figure out how to track down them. It appears as though the Lattice has foreordained the Harrisons to be captured by the bigoted cop. Thus, Nina endeavors to have a go at something new and leaves her table to collaborate with Lasky. She will likely win the official's trust by starting a discussion. From the beginning, she presents herself and purchases a pie as far as he might be concerned, referencing that she is obliged towards his administrations for the country. He acknowledges her benevolence yet demands that he doesn't have any acquaintance with her. Along these lines, to acquire his trust further, Nina begins making sense of that her child means the world to her, and that he is attending a university from today. Then, at that point, she gets some information about his family, and the official sincerely answers that his significant other spent away quite a while prior, and that life has been hard for him from that point onward. Hearing this, Nina gives her sympathies and a grateful Lasky expresses gratitude toward her for the pie and gets up. However, before Nina can leave, he sees her vehicle, and asks assuming she got it herself. Nina answers that she buckled down for it, yet Lasky orders her to draw out the vehicle possession also, enlistment papers. When Nina hears this, she blows her top and starts yelling that she doesn't have to show any of those papers. Dorian takes a stab at quieting his mom down, yet she doesn't tune in. Left with no decision, he enters the vehicle to recover his telephone, as he had clicked an image of the enrollment papers prior. Notwithstanding, when he draws out his telephone, the cop botches it for something different, and shoots him directly through the chest, decisively. Dorian kicks the bucket right away, and seeing this, a crushed Nina drops her camcorder on the floor. In the following scene, Nina is at the emergency clinic, where she has been called to distinguish her child's body. When every one of the customs are finished, Nina gets some information about her camcorder, which was with her during the occurrence. Soon after, Nina gets her camcorder back, yet, before she presses the rewind button, she implores God that it works. Luckily, it does, and by, all that rewinds back to the coffee shop scene. Nina is more than happy to see her child perfectly healthy, and embraces him right away. Presently, subsequent to learning her illustration a few times, she chooses to quickly leave the coffee shop, before official Lasky even shows up. Be that as it may, while taking off, they run over the official, yet he just opens the entryway for them. Afterward, Nina parks almost a deserted house. Lastly uncovers everything to her child. She specifies that the camcorder has powerful capacities, with the assistance of which they can rewind back in time. She additionally discusses the bigoted official, also, how he continues to follow them all over they go. She then begs Dorian to help her figure out how to break the circle. Dorian realizes that his mom isn't lying, so he begins conceptualizing for thoughts. Later, a touch of reasoning, a thought at long last strikes his psyche and he proposes they rapidly go astray from the way by going to his uncle's home. Inevitably, they arrive at an area, which seems, by all accounts, to be the spot Nina was brought up in. There, she tells Dorian how her more established siblings were shot dead by the police officials and how the occurrence has left her damaged from that point onward. Before long, they're welcomed by her other sibling, Neil, who actually lives there, yet the two show up to be cold towards each other. It turns out he is still furious that she didn't come to their dad's memorial service. Nonetheless, on seeing his sister in a terrible condition, Neil takes the mother-child pair inside. There, Nina makes sense of everything for her alienated sibling, and requests his assistance to stop official Lasky. She makes an honest effort to cause him to comprehend that she isn't lying, and shockingly, Neil, being a faithful sibling and solid ally of developments like People of Color Matter, right away trusts her. It is then uncovered that the camcorder recently had a place with their dad before he passed it to Nina. In addition, Neil uncovers that their dad generally recounted stories of enchantment like this. Maybe, he even utilized the camcorder a few times to save him from a muddled circumstance. With this information, the sibling sister couple at long last accommodates and embraces one another. That evening, the three assemble around and begin making elaborate arrangements to stop the inescapable. Neil recommends that they take Dorian to school, as it is the main spot others can help them. It would seem Dorian is owned up to an all-dark school, so assuming that Lasky takes a stab at hassling them there, the others will revolt. Above all, they need to get to the school, which is extremely unsafe by street. Thus, Neil plans out an alternate route course for Dorian to come to the school inconspicuous. He utilizes individual outlines of the town he has planned throughout the long term. In the following scene, Neil leads them inside an underground passage, which he asserts was utilized a very long while prior as a mining base. En route, Nina and Neil think back about their life as a youngster days, and furthermore about their late dad. Soon after, they move beyond the passage, which leads them right to the school. Dorian is thrilled to see such countless understudies there, and can hardly stand by to collaborate with them. Be that as it may, as the three keep continuing towards the entrance, the miscreant, official Lasky shows up out of no place. He arranges them to stop and asks about the thing they were doing inside the passage. Frightened, Nina has a go at removing her child, yet entirely the official takes out his firearm and focuses at them. Seeing this, Neil places himself in Mischief's way, and dares the official to shoot. Simultaneously, some other cops show up at the scene with their weapons. Tired of the unfairness and separation she has looked from Lasky, Nina ventures forward with her camcorder what's more, begins recording the police. Dorian advises her to press the rewind button and restart everything, except this time, she rejects. All things being equal, she locks the camcorder, and presently, there is no returning. Seeing her fortitude, different understudies in the school additionally bring their mobile phones out and begin recording the episode. Right away, Lasky snickers at the thought of being threatened by a camcorder. Be that as it may, with everybody's consideration on her, Nina begins talking. She censures Lasky for manhandling his power, furthermore, bugging others, in light of their skin tone. She likewise calls him out for being a degenerate official, who just thinks often about himself, also, not the government assistance of others. Understanding that they are throwing away time and energy, different policies often continue towards their vehicle, yet Lasky is as yet inflexible on educating Nina an example. He gets ready to shoot his weapon and settle the matter unequivocally. In any case, when he looks around and sees every one of the understudies with their cameras out, he becomes frightened also, brings down his firearm. As he leaves, Nina insults him for being a failure. Along these lines, the Harrisons, with the assistance of Neil and a lot of understudies, at long last end the circle they were caught in. Sliced to quite a long while later, Dorian has now become a dad, and has figured out how to do well with his life. As he plays with his girl, Nina records them euphorically with a similar camcorder. All at once, the young lady takes the camcorder and incidentally drops it to the ground, breaking it into pieces. Seeing this, a crushed Nina rapidly hurries to the pieces, as the gadget had forever been with her through each good and bad. She has become so accustomed to it that it has begun influencing her ordinary life. As she sobs hopelessly, Dorian aids her up, and urges her to continue on. He tells her that now, they can gain genuine experiences, without depending on a gadget. The film closes as Nina begins a new venture in her life, one without the camcorder that had saved her multiple times previously. Anyway, when the scene blurs dark, police alarms are heard, showing that she needs to manage the official yet again, yet this time with no rewind choice.